Welcome back, everyone, to the 2018 North American Academy League. Teams are readying up for Game 2 of this afternoon, a clash between CLG Academy and Golden Guardians. And CLG came into this week undefeated, but they suffered 2 losses yesterday, ending a 10-game winning streak, including their finish in spring.
Yeah, it was very impressive, but despite those losses yesterday, CLG Academy is still miles ahead of where they were when they started last spring. Even with the bad start, they barely missed playoffs last spring, and they are so much closer. And with the summer split now containing the expansion to a 6-team postseason, CLG has a chance to go the distance this time around.
Well, first they need to shake off the losses from yesterday and recover some of that mojo from their opponents, who are Golden Guardians Academy.
And CLG had a great opportunity to bounce back strong because Golden Guardians are not coming in looking too hot. They revamped their roster, adding a lot of veteran talent to try and fill in that skill gap that they encountered during spring. But so far, Golden Guardians have not found too much success with that.
Well, we'll see what they do. Now let's meet the teams with Counterlogic Gaming selecting the blue side. In the top lane, it's Fallen Bandit. In the jungle, Wiggly. In mid, Tuesday, the bottom support, Autofill, and their coach, Exogen.
And over on the red side for this game, it's Golden Guardians Academy. In the top lane, Zig, jungling Potluck, mid lane Bobchin, with Benji and Sheep down in the bot lane, and Coach Zoo.
Well, we'll have to see kind of how it all shakes out. Had a pretty fast last game, I'll have to say. I don't think either of these two teams will be playing quite at that pace, but like you said, for CLG Academy, definitely surprising to not pick up some wins here. So hoping for a confidence test, but if they lose, perhaps the inverse could happen, because it can be tough for a team that had such a hot start to the season, especially after coming off such a streak, to start losing games now. Maybe you start to doubt yourself early in the season.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'd like to think that, you know, sometimes you just have an off day, and it's unfortunate that might have been the super day where you have 2 games to play. So we'll have to see if they can bounce back here. And like we were saying, you know, Golden Guardians has been struggling, and this is a good opportunity to kind of start a new winning streak for CLG here.
Yeah, we'll see if Golden Guardians can kind of put their players in better positions. We know Zig has a lot of experience in the LCS, of course, both Benji and Sheep also. So again, can they either enable their new players or their old players? Someone on this team has to do some stepping up, it feels like.
Yeah, and it's tough to say who that should be, because Benji mechanically has always looked great, but sometimes makes some questionable decisions. And it feels like with that extra bit of rust that he had with his time off since his last time he was competing in the Challenger Series, it does feel like, you know, he does have to break that rust off, and has been struggling a little bit down the bot lane, especially with the crazy new meta and marksman not quite being as powerful as they were previously.
Yep, we'll see the bans there for CLG. Camille, Lucian, and Zoe all banned away, with Nocturne and Talia once again eating red side bans.
Yeah, and it's no surprise. I think it's a really strong champion, probably the best jungler in a you know, kind of empty space where, you know, you can fill in so many things around it. Obviously, it's not going to work well with a funnel strategy if that's what you're going for. But otherwise, it's a very, very strong pick.
Well, last ban was Aurelia from GG, so that leaves Rakan as the first pick for CLG Academy. And you said this at the start of last game, but Xayah Rakan as a funnel has been seen, especially in the LCK.
Yep, it's definitely something that works there, and it's kind of risen as support that can be played without Xayah. It was a period of time where it felt like Xayah was the one that could be picked without Rakan. Now both feel pretty separate, and we've seen a variety of Rakan lanes. Works well with mages in the bot lane because he does have great setup, and so you can get some really great all-in lanes. You know, we saw the Brand hover there as a potential counter pick to that Rakan, but Rakan and Brand actually combo very well together, where you have Rakan ult in, pull them all together, Brand drops his ult, and bounces between the 2 of them.
Yep. You can see GG's respond by taking the Xayah away, and they take the Shen, so denying a potential duo lane. But like you said, the flexibility you can now get with Rakan, not just because he can be played on his own just fine, but now potentially moving to mid with Xayah, although obviously that's off the table for now, with Xayah being picked away. At least that specific one is. But Kai'Sa has not been banned. Talk a little bit about it off air. Kai'Sa seems almost egregiously strong at this point as a champion, so kind of interesting to see teams giving it away still.
Yeah, I mean, it's a champion that is definitely not, it's not probably weak enough early game for how strong it becomes later, but it's especially problematic when you can get to that strong late game 15 minutes in without having to really interact with the enemy that much, and that's what we see with those funnel strategies.
Yeah.
It looks like what we're setting up for here with 2 supports already locked in and a Kai'Sa. I wonder where that's going.
From Kai'Sa, I see this one. All right,
yeah.
Pretty good strategy. Blue side looking good so far for the Kai'Sa Braum pickup. So we'll see what Golden Guardians do react with here. Seen a couple of kind of interesting counter picks to this sort of thing, but that was, I think, more when it was Master Yi Tarek. melee champions a little easier to punish because they have to get so much closer to you. And looks like Swain will be the pickup here for Golden Guardians.
Yep, gonna have to see where all these champions line up, because right now you could hypothetically come up with a Xayah funnel strat and leave Swain in the bot lane, things like that. But right now it is looking a little bit more standard for Golden Guardians, likely to be Shen in the bot lane with that Xayah and Swain in the mid lane. But like you were saying, you know, it started with Taric Yi, and that's a one that, you know, I've talked to a couple people. It's probably one of the more broken combinations and invulnerable, fast attacking, unslowable champion that also has a targeted stun basically with Taric Yi going on top of him. But without the Taric there, the Yi is actually pretty vulnerable. I mean, he really only shines when the two of them are together. Whereas a champion like Kai'Sa, you know, is great with the Braum to set her up, but once she gets rolling, you don't need to babysit her everywhere she goes. And I think that's something that people have started to realize with these funnel strategies, is that you don't need to go for completely broken combos. You can just take a really strong champion like Kai'Sa, use it as a babysitting tactic, and then let her go out into the world to go 1v5.
Yeah, and it's kind of what we saw in the last game. So we'll see if CLG can replicate. Phase 2 bans are almost done though. Morgana Mundo on the GG side, with Kled and one more to come now for CLG Academy.
Yep, Kled ban against Zig, kind of his signature champion back in spring last year, started turning a lot of heads and had a really great split kind of off the back of that champion, a couple other bruisers that he's extremely proficient at, so no surprise to see that banned away, as well as that Aatrox going at him. Yep,
Aatrox still in his old state, I suppose, now with on live Aatrox rework.
Unreworked state.
Yeah, unreworked, there you go, unreworked state. So take that one away, pretty good in the top lane, especially on a kind of a bruiser player like Zig. And again, the question remains, where are GGs going with this draft? Looks like Xin Zhao there for Potluck, going to go aggressive with his jungler.
Yeah, and I like this combo a lot more. You know, Swain can be pretty strong, really power spikes at 6. Xin has early aggression. Swain has no problem kind of following that up. So Xin goes in, E, Q, knock up, pull back with Swain at any point in the game, basically, and you have some potential kill threat on the Kai'Sa if you're able to catch her out on her camps. And you have a much better invade strategy than Olaf and Karthus.
Yeah, you can see CLG now lining up their last 2 picks of this draft. We expect Kai'Sa to be funneled through the mid lane. We have 2 supports already picked for CLG Academy, so pick a nice stable tank top lane. You already have Braum. It's pretty difficult to stop him from ulting you, and he's very reliable by himself in the top lane.
Yeah, not really many counters left against the Ornn. I mean, you can pick carry matchups that he's able to beat, but with the Kled and the Aatrox already banned out, those are 2 difficult ones. I mean, maybe you can say like, oh, go Renekton or something, but you know, you're going to get outscaled by this team comp very quickly.
Well, I saw an Ezreal hover, which would, again, make sense. We saw that last game, but instead it is something a bit spicier. Yasuo locked in.
It was funny because you said the Braum's already taken away, and I was like, well, the only wall left is Yasuo, so that's what you have to worry about, but hey, take that too.
I like it. CLG, double war comp, funnel Kai'Sa, 2 supports. I think it seems like a lot of fun. We'll see what GGs have to respond here, because certainly with the Xin Zhao being picked, I'm expecting a more standard comp, and it has been tough to break through a lot of these funnels.
And I like this Darius pick here to try and counter out that Ornn. I was thinking about melee bruisers. Renekton came to mind, but Darius I think is a lot better at that. With that execute coming in, is able to actually finish people off later in the game a lot better than a Renekton can, who really does fall off. But if the Darius can get ahead, I think he's a little bit more threatening of a champion.
Well, that is the pick up, and that means, of course, Sheep will be taking Shen's support. So, like you mentioned in the last game, certainly a lot of flexibility there for that champion, but we haven't had 2 funnels in the game just yet. It is going to be, once again, Kai'Sa Braum funnel, presumably with Auto taking Smite there currently as his summoner spell of choice, versus a more standard composition.
Yeah, and I think what they're doing here is pretty interesting. Wiggly is going to stay as the jungler, quote-unquote, who's going to be following the Kai'Sa around because he's the jungling player and he understands camp respawn timers and Scuttle Crab mechanics a lot better than the actual player that Otto is used to playing with in Phil. So you're kind of combining knowledge sets where we take the best marksman player to execute on Kai'Sa with the player with the best understanding of the jungle in Wiggly.
And then, of course, you take the mid lane player or the solo lane player who's played probably much more Yasuo than your marksman player, and you put him into the bot lane with the champion that he knows best. It is interesting to see teams as they adjust to more of these strategies and more of the dynamic things you can do. I think the right decision is to put the player with the champion or like type of champion or role experience into those positions to succeed, rather than simply say, hey, you're a bot laner now, hey, you're a mid laner now, hey, you're a support Nunu/Braum jungler now.
Yeah, definitely the case. I will say, as hopefully we rearrange some of these graphics pretty quickly.
Oh yeah.
As Kai'Sa and Yasuo should probably swap around. But I will say the Yasuo Rakan lane is not one that inspires a lot of confidence. I mean, you can see the synergies with the knock-up, followed up when Yasuo is 6, he gets his ult off, great. But you are lacking a bit of damage against a Shen who can easily just kind of drop his W on top of the person you're trying to kill, and they suddenly don't auto-attack, and the Q from Yasuo counts as an auto-attack. And so suddenly he does no damage, and that can be very scary up against the Xayah. So we'll have to see if that's going to work out for them. It's not as aggressive as a bot lane as I probably would have hoped for anytime you put Yasuo down there. You want a little bit more all-in threat.
Yeah, definitely going to be just kind of farming it out, but so far, pretty easy start here for Elan Tuesday. So I'll leash that red buff. Order will take it away. One more will get it done. And Wiggly is already to the mid lane to try and freeze that one up. Looks like Bobshing was probably shoving as fast as he could as Potluck takes the red, and we'll see where he goes. Looking aggressive and instantly pings toward the enemy blue buff. So kind of pretty obvious where he wants to go based on that ping.
Yeah, and he's going to try and get to the Scuttle Crab before they can. And looks like this is a little slow to get pushed out, as Xin Zhao will also have the top lane priority that Zig should have over Fallen Bandit. Might be able to get this Scuttle Crab away, which is sometimes hard to do against a funnel strategy. They take your mid laner out of that kind of 2v2 that often happens over the Scuttle Crab by getting priority so quickly. And there you see, yes, the Scuttle Crab did go to Golden Guardians, forces CLG to actually probably run down to the other side.
Yep, it's going to win the race instead, as that crab is going to get lost. Looks like the other one also scouted out. Golden Guardians checking, but can't see them just yet, even though there's a nice ward also next to the crab. But of course, they're in mid lane right now farming it up, so we'll ignore them for the time being. They just push these lanes out and then go to take the right side Scuttle Crab.
Yep, and so a good bit of, kind of jungle control by Golden Guardians early on, but not going to slow down the Kai'Sa Braum too much. Though Pollock is doing a good job, is spotted out in that ward as he probably is going to go for a blue buff contest, and we see a ping come down by CLG Academy. Might go down and try and collapse onto him here.
Wiggly actually already roaming over, but he's got no help, so a little risky. He does get a ward down. Might just try and harass Potluck out of this, but I don't think Auto's going to make it in time to contest. Instead, Potluck maybe scared enough just because of the Braum. Kai'Sa is also making her way there. Does get over, I believe, with the Blast Cone, so nice reaction there from CLG Academy to actually make sure that blue stays theirs.
Yeah, nice play by them. It was a little risky for the side of Golden Guardians because you don't know where Otto is. You don't know that Wiggly left him on those Raptors so long ago. You think maybe he was on Wolves or something, not too far behind. So is going to end up backing off there, and Otto now level 4.
Again, continuing to share some farm with Wiggly, who's just slapping them down with the Targons. Tuesday just has a tornado ready, but as expected, lane is being pushed in by Golden Guardians. And here's a slight farm lead as well with Benji over Tuesday. Wiggly just going to block some damage while again, CLG just making sure to push these lanes in as fast as they can.
Yep. Bombshin gets a little trade on there, but not going to do too much. I played a couple funnel games.
Yeah.
My roommate trying to figure out how that felt, and I gotta say it's a bit of a feels bad man for the 1v2 mid laner. I played it against a Wukong mid who thought he was gonna get all these sweet all-ins against some other champion in a 1v1, and then I played Tarek and I just stood there. My Yi came by.
You get farm. That's about,
I mean, you don't really have to.
Minions.
It just removes all the tension out of it, I guess, where you're like, am I going to die? Are they going to die? And it kind of boils it down to when the duo is there, I back off. And when they are not there, I push. And it becomes a lot more about kind of exploiting those kind of timings to collapse on things, like a Cloud Drake.
Yeah, actually spotted here, but I don't know if CLG can react to this in time. Potluck going to pull Sheep over, who's actually a level above his jungler. Despite that second Scuttle Crab being taken. I don't know who took it, I just know that Golden Guardians got it. So maybe that was a Sheep and a Benji bit of duo jungling, but the first Drake will go to Golden Guardians.
Yeah, Pollock got kind of stalled out in that top side of the map for a little while there, and got forced off that blue buff, slowed him down quite a bit. And so Otto, despite kind of not getting that initial scuttle, which you want to see, was still able to kind of punish Potluck for that over-aggressive blue buff attempt.
TP back here from Zig, has a Phage already done. Fallen Bandit just hanging out as the wave is going to push back towards Zig pretty soon as it mounts up.
And this is one of the benefits when playing against a funnel comp while we talk about the kind of struggles of the mid laner. On the flip side, your top and bot laner get kind of to have as much push freedom as you want. You don't really need to worry about jungle ganks that much more. Yes, you should still drop a ward as Zig did and play it smart, but you don't have to be worried about being pushed up as much because it's so much more important for that funnel strategy to keep getting the guaranteed farm of the mid lane in the jungle. If you go up top side, like, yeah, maybe you get a flash and alleviate some pressure, but that's costing you a ton of gold to do that. So a lot of the times people don't really worry about it, and you see these lanes that focus on losing gracefully, like the Shen and the Ornn here.
Yep, Fallen Bandit down about 20 CS, so see if he can continue to kind of keep that at this level. I think that's probably an acceptable loss for Ornn, but we'll have to see how he plays, especially the mid-game team fight, using his ulti and his teleport. Bobshin's hanging out, farming waves, so we'll leave him for now. Other than that, there's a lot of farming happening. Zig does a nice pullback in onto Fallen Bandit. Actually, he's level 6, so can somewhat threaten the Ornn right now. I think this is the time where, as Ornn, you have to start worrying in your 1v1, can I be killed? Because if you mess around, you will be. Yeah,
that's the thing about Darius is it very quickly goes from minor trade to all in. If he lands, you know, one nice Q, gets a couple stacks on his passive, and the bleed out, you have to worry about kind of some flash auto attack reset. You get the 5 stacks, the full bonus AD, and then you drop your ultimate on them. Can very quickly burst you out. And that was one of those trades where maybe if Potluck was looking for a dive, you know, Fallen Bandit could have been falling prey to an all-in.
I think that's the other thing as well. Potluck has had a kind of a decent early path, taking that scuttle and just trying to feel out where the rest of CLG Academy wanted to go with their Kai'Sa and their Braum, but Sinjar's going to need to affect these lanes pretty early, because right now, as kind of the stalemates are happening in these lanes, that's not where you want to be as the non-funnel team versus funnel. You need to be applying that pressure, like we saw from CLA in the last game.
Yeah, I think just the fact that the initial invade topside just kind of made it so awkward for him to continue trying to find advantages, because ideally Potluck and Bobchin will be able to at some times find their roam timings that can, maybe they move up to topside and they dive with the Darius and things like that. They haven't been able to do that, and as a result they haven't found any aggression early on, which, like you said, is pretty important if you're going to try and upset these funnel comps.
Yeah, kind of hard to outfarm the people that are farming a lot more than you are, as Potluck does at least steal away. The Wolves actually going to go for the Grump here as well. And by the looks of that wave position, Ornn looks to be in some trouble if Potluck wants to go in for a dive. Level 6 on both of them now, as even Bobshin coming up for the party.
Yep, we do see the Braum splitting away from the Kai'Sa right now, seeing if he can somehow hover near Fallen Bandit and collapse if needed. And it looks like that pressure is enough to actually call off that dive from Golden Guardians Academy.
Great presence from Wiggly, and I think like the roaming supports of Yor, even though you're playing a pretty different role, just defending the champion you're trying to build up. Wiggly doing a nice job, taking some free time and just getting some vision. Fallen Bandit with an ulti, looking for a 1v1 situation right now versus Zig. Nullifying old procs, gonna get some healing back, but Fallen Bandit actually gonna force him away perhaps.
Yeah, Zig had missed a couple of his Q spins there. If you hit him with the sweet spot, you get that heal, and he had missed a couple, so he started falling down pretty low in HP, but critically hit that one to make sure he got that 100 extra HP. And now Fallen Bandit might be pushed up a little far.
False confidence perhaps, flash pull there, there's the spin coming out. Potluck gonna knock him off, and the Donkarudi's incoming, not even needed. It is first blood for the Darius.
Yeah, nice little bit of baiting there by Zig. Gets engaged on early on, cooldowns out for Fallen Bandit that he might have been able to use otherwise for peeling people off of him. And drops down, and this is the start of Golden Guardians potentially being able to find pressure on the map and force this funnel strategy to slow down a little bit.
All part of the plan. Missed the Qs on purpose, Mark. Don't even worry about it. Let's watch this one again.
Yep, Fallen Bandit after winning that trade thinks Zig's going back. Not the case, flash pull, but he's already 2 out of position to possibly get out of here. And Zig saves his ultimate, saving it for a future all-in. Very smart.
Let's see if Potluck does revisit, and if so, how quickly. Flashes are down on both sides in the top lane, and we aren't expecting CLG Academy to gank that lane anytime soon. So, see if Ornn can defend well in what is going to be a pretty tricky situation. On the other hand, though, Tuesday, despite being a little bit behind in CS, is not seemingly having a very difficult time getting the lane pushed and farming out, although I guess Sheep did leave to go ward. Makes it a bit trickier. And now with both his supports at level 6 as well, CLG Academy are getting pretty active.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about how the bot lane for CLG Academy really does need that 6 to start really threatening anything. And I will say that they've done a better job than I thought they'd be able to do farming up against that lane. Only about 10 CS down, which all things considered, not bad at all. You're going to have the hyper-scaling Yasuo crit building 80 threat and the long-range AP marksman threat of Kai'Sa.
That's a sentence, by the way.
Yeah, maybe a couple too many descriptors in there.
Like I said, Kai'Sa scales really well with items, so just pick your favorite half of the damage spectrum and run with that one, as Rage Blade already done for auto. So as we've kind of been seeing, Wiggly is kind of through the part where he needs to help auto really through the jungle, and I think again we'll start to see them get more active. As Golden Guardians will look to do the same. Ocean Drake is obviously want to take it. Potluck's going to make it angry and start this one off.
And gives him a little poke, wakes the dragon up, starts fighting him.
Historically, mythically, a very bad idea, but it's Drake, I guess, not as strong as its fully grown brethren. So
it's not a dragon, so
exactly.
It's not.
That's the problem. That's why Elder Dragon's so much harder to kill. It makes sense now. Alright, Potluck can get the mythology, everyone. As Avatar also in some trouble. Not quite done just yet, but first Torah Code still on the table. Wants to get it. Benji will take the last auto down, and Sheep looked to threaten with a taunt, but Phil dances out of the way. This Potluck was also hungry for some more kills, but the first turret and a first blood is a good start on the gold front for Golden Guardians, up 2,000 gold early on.
Yeah, this game's kind of balancing on a knife's edge right now. If they can continue to snowball around the top side, get Darius more kills, more turrets, they might be able to run away with this game, but CLG is still in a relatively comfortable position as the Kai'Sa hasn't been slowed down at all with that Ginsu's Rage Blade proc, but Golden Guardians are going to be able to steal this Rift Herald away, actually pushing them off of it, as Zig is kind of pretending to be a jungler while Potluck collapses.
Yep. And
then they can maybe use this to start breaking open the map more, and if you start breaking the turrets down, it really does cut into the funnel strategy, because suddenly it's so much easier to take her camps away, and if you just kind of make her a regular laner, even though she might have gotten a little bit of a kickstart earlier on, up 60 CS right now, the enemy team still only has a Braum with not that many items, whereas you have a Xin Zhao who can hopefully continue to build damage, and you end up with, you know, 4.5 champions, I guess, with your one support, and the other team stuck on 3.5.
So pressure here for Tuesday, but oh, 2 levels down. Here stands United. It's going to be a tough trick for Tuesday to try and get out of, but Phil's coming in. Oh, Last Breath already coming out. Now Fallen Bandit going to TP in and turn it all around. He misses his ult only barely, but she beats the knockup and Fallen Bandit takes him down.
Really nice double TP there by CLG Academy. Or excuse me, as Phil actually just collapsed and Fallen Bandit TP'd in. It looked like a good start by Darius, a very strong pick into Yasuo, so you can start matching up against him. And it baited out, got the Shen ult coming in. Looked like a good turn initially, but not the case, as once again, the play backfires for Golden Guardians Academy.
Yeah, Tuesday was trying to take a turret for his team. Still 0-2 now as Benji did take the top lane out of turret, but almost got himself caught by Zig. Instead, his teammates come in, rescue him from that situation, but like we have seen, a lot of teams are good at kind of early pressuring, you know, this sort of early uninteractive farming strategy, but kind of what you do from there I think is the big difference, because as soon as you let up your standing gold difference, the game that's, you know, a few thousand gold between the two just shortens, and now it's big Kai'Sa versus nothing else. So we'll watch this one again.
Yep, good start by Zig. Chunks Tuesday out, but then the kind of chain CC combo that comes in, as well as Fallen Bandit bringing in the extra man. Able to get the kill, and that knock-up crit was actually huge, as it allowed Fallen Bandit's W to do enough damage to finish that kill off. And like you were saying, that kind of standing gold concept, CLG is going to fall down a lot of gold just by the turrets, but at the same time, that's gold that they can recoup by taking turrets on their own. So it's not the end of the world that you fall behind a little bit as these funnel strategies.
No, again, it's just about continuing to apply the pressure and really shutting down that kickstarted advantage that the Kai'Sa in this case is getting. Auto not quite ready for item number 2. It looks like Golden Guardians doing a decent job applying this pressure. Kind of curious to see if they move the duo lane into the mid lane to pressure this outer. And Rift Herald's still also there for Potluck.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that with all that skirmishing that went down the bot lane, it was actually possible for Benji to grab that top turret by himself. So they still have that Rift Herald to use in the mid lane. And like you said, you see them rotating down right now through their jungle. Going to meet up with Xin Zhao, who's behind the turret, might start a fight, or you just try and get some priority to push back and hopefully take that turret with the Rift Herald, but instead actually going to have to head back topside as Tuesday has started pushing.
Yeah, Phantom Nets are done here. Yeah, so especially with some levels in the queue, it's pretty quick. pushing down minion waves. So we'll have to move their duo lane back up to match them. Zig there with a Trinity Force finish pretty early, despite the Frozen Heart done there for Fallen Bandits on. Zig should have enough pressure in that long bot lane as Bobshin gets the blue buff, and looks like Potluck's found a timing for this Rift Herald.
Yep, this is same play we were talking about 30 seconds ago, just took a little bit longer to get online. Works well also with that cannon minion down there. A little slow on the channel. I don't know why you walked in circles for 3 seconds, but there they go.
Wave, I guess, and now Wiggly actually going to get caught up. Props back with the Guardian, as Zig also threatening with a flank, but Rift Herald charging in. It's going to take all the turrets' remaining health down. There's only going to be one turret here in the Herald, but still a good take there for Golden Guardians.
Very good take for them, and they have a couple lane setups to try and keep that pressure in. So you want to match Zig against either Fallen Bandit or Tuesday, as he should have that advantage. And then you can use that priority to go roam into the jungle like he's doing now. You start stealing the camps away from the Kaisa. You cut into that kind of double dipping that she's doing by getting lane and jungle farm. I suppose the fact that your Xayah and Shen should be able to get some pressure against whoever else they get matched up with at that point, and you start getting a ton of invades off to hold that Kaisa down.
Oh, still going to start something. There's a Killer Instinct on top into the last breath, and Benji has no chance at all. And now Sheep going to get chased for perhaps a secondary kill. Tornado not going to knock up though, and Sheep gets out.
That was a bit of a strange play because Golden Guardians saw that play coming and did not react quite quick enough. It was like you saw CLG was about to jump on your marksman, and Sheep waited for them to successfully do that. Instead of ulting early, yes, it would feel bad if you didn't have to do it, but you were clearly going to have to do it. And if you could have dissuaded that all-in attempt or allowed Benji to be higher HP, because he was basically 100 HP when he started his ult, with bought enough time for the Shen to come in, but then he lands and dies anyways. If Shen gets in a little faster, maybe he can interrupt some of that combo that came down.
Yep, instead, CLG gets themselves a second kill, but Golden Guardians continuing to snowball the Drakes in this game. Had the variety bucket here, Cloud into Ocean into Infernal.
Gotta be pretty happy with that Infernal, though. Basically, everyone is going to benefit from that as they are all building damage.
Gotta get it first, though. Looks like they will be able to. Sheep with the last hit, as Potluck holds onto his smite for safety reasons.
I don't know about safety reasons. That Q from... so here's what I'm saying. As Sheep, you saw the Rakan there charging through, I'm pretty sure, so you could have ulted right away. Instead, tries to run through, then realizes he's not going to run there in time and tries to ult instead. But just drop your ult right away, get there as soon as you can, and maybe you can dissuade that engage if you get a taunt off onto the Rakan or something.
Instead, Otto gets his first assist of the game as he starts interacting with the enemy champions. And 2 items already finished at under 19 minutes here, so it is time to do Kaisa things.
Kaisa is online.
And that's the thing, I agree that like she's scales relatively exponentially with items. Her first item is good, but I think 2 items for Kaisa is really where she gets things done. And that's the point that Auto is at right now.
Yeah, it's just the way that kind of living weapon works. Usually, pretty much any build path you're going to go, the 2 items are going to give you one of those, whether it's the stealth on your E, the extra Q damage, the W, which is probably the one that you least want to get by itself. But yeah, as soon as you get that 2-item power spike, suddenly you're stealthing around invisibly at fights, and you have other people jumping on with the Yasuo hopping in first, and it splits up the fight, so it's very hard for Golden Guardians to track who they should be prioritizing. Do you go for this relatively squishy Yasuo at this point in the game and try and burst him down, or do you wait for the Kaisa to reveal herself?
Well, so far, Zig is at least kind of taking a lot of the mid-game burden of his team and taking turret shots while trying to get the lane pushed in. Fallen Bandit actually trading pretty nicely as he's quite healthy on the on with a Catalyst now joining that quick Frozen Heart. So back to base here for Auto. And Wiggly just hanging out on top of a ward. Oh, how rude. Shot there for Bobshin. And a cancelled recall.
Yeah, they cancel that recall, which is nice. Slow the Kaisa down a little bit and gives them some time to go into this river and clear out all these wards that CLG Academy had on the Baron. I like the idea by CLG, just kind of over-ward the top side of the map right now, because your biggest concern would be if somehow you drop vision and you're not quite in position to stop a rush Baron attempt by Golden Guardians, who, all things considered, have a decent team. Xayah, very good at it. Xin Zhao brings some damage, and Swain with that Q spam is pretty good at taking Baron. So be overprotective with your vision control around Baron and make sure that you continue to not fall behind.
Although he's going to get tagged by this next Vision of Empire. Actually gets a minion there with the Void Seeker. Maybe we're just hanging out. Well, they're going to take that farm down. And again, Golden Guardians making their mark pretty clear here in the mid game. Either trying to take Baron or bait them into it. But Wiggly and Auto are going to check pretty dutifully. Tuesday also pushing top side. And now going to check in. But wants to be a bit careful. He's on top of a ward right now. No super instant initiation for them either.
Yeah, Zayat had gone up to the top wave to clear that out. Swain was back mid, so even though maybe you see a Shen flash taunt on that ward and didn't quite have the follow-up damage to hope to turn that into a kill. But they gotta be careful because those are the exact opportunities Golden Guardians are gonna start looking for once they actually are grouped up around that Baron. They have decent vision control of it right now, though. CLG does have a fair amount of pinks just off of the Baron.
Yeah, kind of like what you said earlier about, you know, the Rakan, Kai'Sa, Yasuo being able to split up fights into pockets. The double TP also giving CLG good sideline options here. So really just running mostly 1-3-1, trying to protect Auto when they need to with their extra support. But despite the game being, you know, 3,000 gold up for Golden Guardians Academy, CLG seem very confident at this stage.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird game to kind of get the feel for because Golden Guardians clearly have pressure. They have a 3,000 gold leading, yet you talk about it like, oh, they got to do more. They're falling behind in some ways because, yes, that Kai'Sa is going to hit her third item very soon here. And that's when things really start, you know, kind of falling apart. And the Yasuo also is no joke as he continues to get more items. So
that's the thing, right? As a mental exercise, just cover up the gold and watch the team play for a couple minutes. You would probably think CLG with the team ahead, they're certainly playing like it. They're going to get proactive onto this Baron Wiggly over the top. There is a ward in the back, I believe, but CLG is going to try and rush this one down. Not going to have to get out, falling bad, looking for the turn. They're actually going to stay on the Baron for a little while longer. Might be a bit risky. The Baron is low, the smite's down. Auto able to get it down, but the fight's going to break out. Oh, gets destroyed, I think, but it's just a mess in the pit. Auto, though, still alive, flashes out, but he gets dunked by Zig over the wall, and Zig picked up the world's fastest pentakill.
I didn't even see that happen. I was so busy watching the Baron, the Kai'Sa. She was in the back of the pit getting a ton of damage out, but Zig's extended ult range as she tried to flash out of it. Once that channel starts, that axe is coming down. He gets the finish off on her, the final kill. And out of nowhere, a 6-0 Darius.
I was paying attention to the Baron. What did Zig do in this team fight?
It looked like a good decision, all things considered, by CLG. They were able to peel it out. They get the finish down. But you see just right away, the Yasuo kind of gets exploded. Once he kind of drops down, Pollock gets a really nice detonation off, and Otto is kind of in the back of the pit. His front line has melted, and he's doing his best to drop the damage out. But Zig just went wild.
Just spinning around, meleeing it up in the pit.
QR, spamming away.
Darius pentakills are also like the most straightforward looking. As Tuesday and Bubching in a battle. Good last breath after the EQ spin move. Still going to dodge out the next one, and that is a kill back in the hands of CLG Academy.
And somehow the Rakan walks away with it. Bit of a mistake there. Definitely want to get that gold onto your Yasuo, who's only on 2 items, which is a little bit behind some of the carries on the enemy team. And right away, Golden Guardians get a little loose with that victory. They get the pentakill. They're feeling good. They try and push their lanes up, but they stay on the map a little bit too long. Trade a kill back, and somehow, after getting aced at the Baron pit, CLG Academy grabbed their first turret of the game.
I keep saying it. It just feels like CLG are playing with almost no fear. They're going to start it again. Here we go. Phil chiming them all up. A big on knock through as he juggles them out. But Zig, Godlight looking to get yet maybe another penta, but Auto able to take down Sheep, still shooting away as the shutdown does come in onto the Darius.
Trade of kills, but all things considered, not that bad. You lose 2, they lose 2, but you're getting kills onto the right members of your team. Darius was able to get focused down there a little bit too far forward. He was trying to get multi-man Qs off by positioning between the enemy front line and their back line, but that just puts him in range to get auto attack. If he just focused down the front line, might have been a little better. Watch Zig here as he gets charmed up, knocked up for a while, but he could try kiting back a little bit once he lands, but instead kites forward, and that kind of puts him in position to continue getting CC'd. Tough fight for the Darius, all things considered, as there were a variety of knockups.
Yeah, that was just all the skills thrown into the middle of that turret. Golden Guardians continue their dominance of this objective, their 4th straight Drake in this game, with even one more to go before Elder Dragon will be spawning. But again, we keep talking about it. CLG still feeling like they're in this game. Kai'Sa with an upgraded Death Crown. If the regular Death Cat wasn't scary enough for the 3-item Kai'Sa.
Interesting decision to go with that. I mean, that last team fight that they lost at the Baron Pit was a bit of a strange one because she's pinned up against the wall, flashes out a little bit late. You don't want to overlook into like, I need a defensive item or anything like that. But Zhonya's is a very common item on Kai'Sa. It's great as a marksman as you get to go in, draw a lot of aggro, maybe find that assassinate kill as they try and go on the Benji here.
One more time, Benji. Oh, flashes. Doesn't have his ult. So has to burn the extra summoner in this case. And again, with the Death Crown, Auto is just pumping W's into the enemy team. Good double root, but doesn't get the grab back in. Potluck trying to collapse. Here comes Zig. They need to kill the Kai'Sa. Auto needs to get out safely. The shields are there. Tuesday with a massive 3-man last breath of Potluck. Finally able to take down Auto. That should be fight lost there as Tuesday just buying time for the rest of his teammates, but he will fall as well.
And there we go. 2 quick kills on the only important members of CLG Academy, taking out the Yasuo and the Kai'Sa. Zig had a really nice flank, something that's hard to do on Darius, all things considered. Has no mobility spells, but he's able to find an angle.
Boy, very cheeky boy. Phil pulling the wave out. Is going to make sure the game doesn't end. They'll still lose this inhib though.
Yep, they're going to lose that inhib as well as the fact that Swain had broken away to the top side to start pushing down there, so probably going to lose a second inhibitor off this. 10 seconds on death timers though. They're going to have to back as soon as they finish this one off.
Yep, does go down. But still well played. And I think this was the, we talked about the early to mid game, what you should be doing against this kind of strategy, but at the end of the day, when you're playing 2 supports, 1 other frontliner, and trying to get 1 carry especially super far ahead, as you can see in the gold totals, the strategy is pretty clear. Just kill the funnel, and as soon as Auto dies, this is what happens. Yeah,
and this is why we're talking about maybe wanting a defensive item. Doesn't actually have it here. Gets focused down. And Tuesday's just not able to get involved. Does get a nice 3-man ult, but at that point, his marksman had already died. Kai'Sa gets finished off. And feels like just a bit of over-aggression on the side of CLG Academy. Not really slowing the game down. Have picked fights relentlessly since that pentakill. And not doing a good job of kiting back, really diving in. They do have a bit more engaged than we saw in the previous one. This is not a Nunu, Shen, Braum. It's a Braum, Rakan, Ornn.
And I mean, CLG, credit for trying, but like we said, they've been playing like they're ahead, it seems like, this whole time, and I think that's finally started to punish them as the 2 inhibs down, trying to defend from continued pressure here from the Guardians. Yeah, looking to make CLG's week a real bad one, and they're going to pick up a win for themselves.
Yeah, definitely the case, and we were saying it felt like CLG was in a decent spot. That Baron Force is going to have to be something they look back on, as well as the continuous fights in the mid lane. That resulted in a 9-1 Darius, who is at the point where he can kind of just charge in there, tank some of that Kai'Sa damage, which is mostly AP. He's got a lot of MR at this point.
I just love also kind of looking down at the scoreboard. Zig has so many kills on this Darius.
Yeah, there's 10 kills on his team. He has 9 of them.
He's 3 zeros on the bottom half of that scoreboard. Not like the only other member on Golden Guardians to get credit for a kill. Wiggly pulled back in, but puts up the door. It's pretty tanky. Still, the waves are causing some issues here. 2 carries is pretty good to clearing 2 lanes of supers, but Golden Guardian's going to try and take down this 3rd inhib.
Yeah, Zig does need to be a little careful because there is very strong engage on the side of CLG Academy. If there's no minion wave in the bot lane, they're all hanging out there. Yes, the Shen can join in with Zig, but if Xayah, Yasuo instantly hop onto your face, you will still melt relatively quickly.
Looks like instead it's time to pull back for Baron here for Golden Guardians Academy.
It's going to be really hard for CLG Academy to contest. Have to chase all the way up through their base, not get engaged on, and not let the Darius end the game by himself.
Yep, Zig actually still down the bot side with the TP, has been spotted, but CLG not throwing much caution to the wind.
I'm looking forward to another Baron Force here out of CLG as they're forced into kind of that unwinnable position of dealing with the Baron or dealing with the split pusher.
I really like this from Golden Guardians as well, not even taking the Baron, just being patient, and now going to collapse as they know they forced them to start it. Baron is low. Auto Smite was pretty good last time. Should be okay to grab this as well. He does get it. The fight's going to break out, but Zig able to take the 3 in him still. The fight breaking out. Auto's still alive. CLG actually winning this in the 5v4. Couldn't quite defend it, but Zig is still trying to end the game. Bombshin gets shredded. Benji now the only one left. It's a triple. Could be a Penta on the other side as the Void Seeker is not going to find Benji, but still Zig ripping through these turrets. There's only one Nexus turret left alive. Zig, though, is going to take some damage. Finally blows up, and he takes the last turret with him. I don't know if that was worth it from CLG.
I like what CLG did, actually, looking at it right now. I mean, you did lose triple inhibitors, but if you didn't do anything, the enemy team would have gotten Baron and then sieged up, and you probably would have been in the same spot. I don't actually love what Golden Guardians did. What you were trying to do there was buy time for Zig to end the game, and instead they kind of force an all-in. Swain is flashing forward, basically, trying to get engaged. He's just putting himself in a position to get engaged on instead of just trying to delay this as much as possible. They're in a straight team fight where, yes, they don't have great range with the Swain in Xayah, but they could have focused more on just delaying this. If they could have bought 5-10 more seconds for Zig, he might be able to end the game. Also, you can TP the Xayah, and you can go for a lot of different plays instead of actually just taking a 5v4 team fight against a team that just got Baron. Gotta look at that decision by Golden Guardians. Not in love with it. I like the decision to let CLG be the ones who start the Baron and then try and slow play it and force them to recall slowly, and then maybe you make a play to end the game with a backdoor, but not the case.
Instead, it's kind of a soft map reset, but there's going to have to be some real good defense here from CLG Academy. Cannot stray too far out of your base. You can see instantly a red ping onto that very exposed Nexus and make it Drake number 5. For Golden Guardians Academy. If we even get to the Elder, we'll have quite the fight there as well.
I feel like we're getting there, Paige.
I think so too.
I feel like we're going to stall out for a couple minutes with all the inhibs down, and the Baron buff on the enemy team is actually...
Ooh, hold on! Going in, they chunk option! Before the bed, he missed the re-up on the bull. Oh no, he tried to do it through the trees, and that's not how it works.
Yeah, I think the pathing got to him a little bit there as he was watching the Ornn ult and the enemies and not his own champion exactly. Like you said, kind of pathed out of the...
Oh my goodness.
Doink.
That feels bad, man. Almost one shot the AD with a single void sticker. This is a strong champion.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong champ. Got that void staff, so able to start chewing through some members. I like the decision to go full damage. You know, I wouldn't have minded an hourglass instead of sticking to that and actually upgrading your jungle item at this point. But Auto did that, and as a result, has very, very high damage poke.
I wonder if he even sells the boots. Goes for the hourglass. I guess we'll find out in a second, but full build for now here on Kai'Sa. Tuesday, not quite there with IE just yet. So he's a little ways away from being a super, super big threat damage-wise, but he'll be fine. Again, it's really more about finding the right engages for CLG and not being too hasty. For Golden Guardians, you've got to play a bit more patient and find a way to finish the game that you were so close to ending.
The question is from here, like, do you get another chance as good as the one you just had? Because you had the opportunity to actually win that game right then, and they weren't able to do it. And now the inhibitors are respawning. There's only one lane they have to worry about. Darius is still 9-2 and can't really be answered by Ornn, but I think Kai'Sa has a very easy time 1v1ing him if she doesn't get pulled in by the apprehend.
Yep, I don't think any solo champion is safe from this Kai'Sa right now. Auto is just hunting for a target a little too far out of position, but again, even Benji playing back, I would be standing behind your minion wave, to be perfectly honest. You don't want to get Void Suck Sort once again. Void Sort, there we go. Void Seeker is a weird ability name, it's fine.
It's hard to kind of verbalize it.
Don't get hit by the Kai'Sa W from a full AP Kai'Sa. It does a lot of damage. Oh, Zig, good flash. Had a GA as well, so we'll stop that pressure, but that will work next time if Fallen Bandit can find the angle on the Ornn ult. And CLG still, again, with just these 2 carries, able to defend. There's no Elder Dragon spawning just yet. Still a few minutes away. Baron has not come back up again. So timing-wise, CLG actually had enough time to save these inhibitors and let them respawn. And I think what you said is correct, Mark. We are going to be going to the Elder.
Still kind of favors Golden Guardian from a map perspective. If they're able to get that, it's a huge true damage burn on all their abilities, and then you can start taking these down easier. I wonder if Zig was a little overeager in that flash, because if you flash out there, the inhibitor's bottom was open, and you had all 4 members of your team down there. If they're going to overextend trying to kill you, maybe they could have just ran down and ended the game. But then again, you're kind of opting into a very, very risky play, and I understand the decision to play it a little safer after the last one backfired.
And again, Golden Guardian still very patient. Baron up in a minute 55, so still kind of far away, but that bot in here coming back up means that CLG have successfully protected their Nexus, which, as it turns out, is the only thing at the end of the day you need to make sure stays off in League of Legends.
That's how you avoid losing, but it's not how you win. At some point, they need to get onto the enemy team's side of the map.
Also true.
as much as we've been talking, oh, CLG's bouncing back, they're recovering the game, still only have one turret taken, and we only have seen them dying on the side of Golden Guardians map. So they're pushing up now, starting to try and get more priority for this Elder Dragon and Baron, which will be respawning shortly. But Golden Guardians, with how much map advantage they have by having all the turrets in the entire game down, can kind of focus more on avoiding CLG and put them into some pretty risky spots.
Yeah, and look for these next 2 minutes, really. I mean, CLG still have a lot of map to push back out. Golden Guardians are setting up in a brush.
Yes, brush.
Right on top of a control ward with Zig still on the top side, but Auto is, again, just firing W's through the jungle, trying to find the Golden Guardians.
Yeah, the problem is that CLG actually have really good ward vision, all things considered. They have a lot around mid and bot side kind of warded up. They have a minion wave pushed up in the mid lane, and they have vision on the Baron. So they know they're not baiting Baron. They know they're not in the mid lane. They know they're not in the top lane. They're either at Elder doing nothing for a minute, or they're camping bot lane, which isn't working. So
still going, by the way.
I see what they're thinking here. CLG is going to go for Baron. Zig will run around and try and stop them, or TP in, I guess, and then they're going to try and ride this minion wave that's building up that CLG hasn't answered yet and try and end the game before CLG can Baron and recall back.
This Baron's going to die so fast.
Yeah, I mean, with Kai'Sa Yasuo at this point in the game, this feels like a really weird all-in attempt by Golden Guardians that I just can't see working out.
All right, one-man defense right now. Fallen Bandit. Little does he know, there are 4 Golden Guardians down here. And actually, CLG going to pull away and maybe try and start a fight. Not afraid of the Baron being taken because they know where the rest of Golden Guardians are. Here's Phil, there's the oh no, TP in from Zing, might be a little too late. There's a double knockup, Auto gonna charge in with a supercharger. Does get one kill, taunted up, but Auto living through it all. I think that's an absolute disaster for Golden Guardians. And there it is, Killer Instinct in, Zing gonna pull one back, but Phil able to find the CC, doesn't grab it as the stasis comes out, but already a TP in from Tuesday. CLG know they're gonna try and end this game.
Yeah, that's probably gonna be game here as Golden Guardians commit to a very poor call, trying to bait the enemy team into starting Baron, but they reveal themselves before Baron even spawns, so very easy decision by CLG Academy. Recall, take the fight in the bot lane. You have mid priority because Golden Guardians been sitting in the bot lane for the past minute and a half, and now you can most likely push forward and end the game. There's 30-second death timers on Bobchin.
Not over, interestingly. Fallen Bandit instead going to maybe get 1v1 by Benji. He stayed around in the brush, but actually on pretty strong. And the squad's coming down. Benji, I think, just let himself in this lane to die. He's basically getting 1v1s. The Drake goes down. Here comes Wiggly. Goodbye, Benji. A 50-second 4v5 now for Golden Guardians.
I'm still looking at that mid lane wondering, could you have just ended? Everyone else was respawning. Either way, here's the all-in attempt. Otto is able to stealth in range, basically instantly killing the Xin Zhao. We also have Bobchin out of position. Doesn't get his ult off before the Zhonya, so he's not healing up. He just insta-pops as well. Complete whitewash of a team fight as Zig also gets tagged and taken down. They took out this scary global objective in the Elder Dragon because they have 5 Elemental Drakes on Golden Guardian side. Once that's off the map, very easy to move up to the Baron. They grab this one. And they should be able to end the game out from here.
I mean, that's crazy to think, given that very few teams in the game's history have come back from 3 inhibs down, let alone 3 inhibs plus both their Nexus turrets. But
and getting aced at Baron.
CLG Academy
and a kill Darius.
On the verge of making a pretty insane comeback.
And as we see, Golden Guardians continue to have a complete fixation with this bot lane brush camping strategy for some reason.
At least try another brush, you know?
What,
Oh no. Thwarted. But I think it's gonna die here. Phil Yatney's found a kill. There's the on ult. They're gonna need the flash. Does not do it. There's the Killer Instinct in. Order just gonna shred him down. Goodbye, Zig. Alright. 4v5 for a minute now. Golden Guardians looking to defend.
They are on the defense, but luckily CLG has not been super aggressive with pushing these kill leads into turrets or anything like that. So despite how bad that all went, still only 3 turrets. They are getting a minion wave in the mid lane now, and with 40 seconds left on Zig, they can probably force another fight. Fallen Bandits ult over halfway off cooldown. Phil's is almost back up. Here's Benji's turn to run through some wards.
Well, he's going to get spotted, but now making his recall. Not going to pick a fight with the Ornn once again. Fallen Bandit still ready to TP in. And I think it is important to remember that for a long time in this game, it was 1 turret from CLG to 11. So there was a long way to kind of run back. You had to run the ball all the way back down to the other end zone to try and score, but CLG Academy on the verge of trying to end this game. Zig's still dead for 5 seconds. Here's Wiggly, maybe too far forward. Phil gonna knock them all back up. The Ornolt's not bad, finds him, but Auto needs to get in there for a bit of damage. Sheep tries to find the Torn, but doesn't grab it as Bombshin goes in, but that's Killer Instinct. Auto gonna try and take down Potluck with his force back into the fountain, but there's enough kills. That's gonna be a kill, so Nexus is gonna shred down. CLG Academy mount a massive comeback and take down Golden Guardians to finish their week with a win.
Down triple inhibitors up against a panic kill Darius. They force Golden Guardians into a tough position. A couple of questionable macro call results in CLG having the time to find the kills. The Kai'Sa gets completely online. And once you're at kind of full build for both these team comps, clearly CLG is going to be stronger.
I have to think so as well. But I mean, there were a lot of mistakes in that game on either side, I have to think. I mean, both teams in some precarious positions. I think Golden Guardians a little too scared of the power of the Kai'Sa, the fights that CLG were clearly looking for, and CLG certainly too brazen with a lot of the fights they picked in the mid-game because they were still down in gold. Not that if you asked them, I think they would have said that.
Yeah, it was a very weird game, all things considered. Like, the funnel strategy was never completely out of it. They were farming up. They were doing well. You know, they lost their turrets, but you're still waiting to get to those crazy items because the enemy team has not snowballed on you at all. And then you force a Baron, which results in the pentakill.
It was a cool panic kill, though. I'll have a look at it.
We will show that, yes.
A second. I mean, here it goes, actually. I mean, Zig kind of just sauntered into this one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, Zig was not getting much done in the side lane split push, so I'm a little surprised to see that they feel forced to commit to this Baron, and as a result, Zig TP's in. They focus down the Baron pretty well, but Zig is just going to keep running forward, getting his attacks off, and then everyone starts getting low. It becomes the Darius's dream situation. Actually hasn't even used his ult yet for a kill. Finally gets those last two with it. For the most part, otherwise, it was just spinning to win.
Yeah, it's just spinning around, and it's like, oh, pretty good stuff getting those two ults. I think the last one was actually good. Instant flash ult to get the penna to make sure the carry died was the big one. But other than that, pretty casual stuff. Unfortunately, the game developed a little bit more from there.
Yeah, it was like both teams were playing very slowly initially, and then once the game broke open, the mistakes started falling in because after that play, Golden Guardian stays on the map too long. They give up some kills. Then CLG starts pushing forward and starts trying to dive turrets. Despite this, they start dying more often. That leads to a situation where they lose all their inhibitors, and then Golden Guardians, instead of trying to delay them at Baron, just tries to literally 4v5 them at Baron while Darius split pushes, and it doesn't go so well.
No, it did not. I think both teams had the first 15 minutes of this game pretty well figured out, but 37 minutes in, we have a replay to show you, and it's a much different look from a Darius pentakill to this team fight for CLG.
Yeah, and Golden Guardian was just trying to go for some crazy backdoor strategy that was completely telegraphed. CLG is ready to take this fight on. Kai'Sa untouched in the backline, basically melting through everybody, and Zig on his way out is going to get tagged by that Kai'Sa W. He's able to hop in there, find that fourth kill, and then after this, CLG go for the more controlled decision as they go for the Elder Drake and the Baron buff, grabbing those objectives off the map, and with that, they're able to actually convert this into a lead.
Yeah, I think you can say that CLG maybe played the back half of that game a little too slowly, given where they were. But given how far down they were, maybe it's understandable.
Yeah, especially after they'd gotten burned by their more rash decisions earlier in the game. They decide to settle down a little bit. And so, you know, that's one of the things, the psychology of the game. When you're in there and you're making mistakes and you start trying to overcorrect those mistakes, sometimes you end up too far moving the needle back to conservative play. But the fact that they are guaranteed to win team fights in the late game, I can understand why you go for the more conservative play.
And again, Kai'Sa Braum continuing to run rampant. 2-0 so far on the day. We'll see how it does in the rest of our games. Not done here yet, though, looking at this game. CLG, I think you have to be happy for a bounce-back game there. I mean, it was looking real bad yesterday in the O2.
It's nice to get the W for a record, but just looking at it purely from like a how are we playing perspective, they are not playing super well. The 0-2 yesterday, this game easily could have got away from them if Golden Guardian was just a little bit better in their decision-making in the late game. Very easily could have been a 0-3 weekend for them, drop down to 4-3.
And I think for Golden Guardians is that maybe the thing we take away is that the players are clearly quite good. I think they're making relatively good early game decisions and playing well individually, but mid to late game decision making especially just seems lost.
And it makes sense in the meta where so many games are decided early on. I mean, even this game you could say in a lot of ways felt like it should be over, and then in scrim culture sometimes that means, all right, FF go next, and you never actually have to close that game out if the enemy team feels like it's over. And you get into these situations that you actually haven't ended up practicing all that much.
Well, to hear more about that victory, I'd like to welcome Otto to the broadcast via Skype. Otto, how are you?
Doing good after quite an interesting game there.
Yeah, right, how you guys drew it up in the playbook, right?
Yeah, it was a perfectly executed strat. Couldn't have played it better, so, you know. exactly to plan.
So talk to me about some of the decisions that were going in the game and like what your guys' communication was, because you were losing a little bit in gold, but the funnel strategy was mostly working. And then there's a Baron call, a pentakill. So walk me through what your team mentality was over the course of that game.
So early game, it felt like they weren't really pressuring us that hard, and we had like all our outer turrets even past 10 minutes. So early game, we thought we were doing fine, but mid game we decided to like start a Baron when in reality we have no need to because we're just farming up. And Darius got a pentakill, and then we're just like, all right, guys, we just need to farm. We'll hold this out. But yeah, I think we just tried to play too fast. Like at 23 minutes, we tried to like start getting too much on the map, and I think that was our biggest mistake.
Yeah, it certainly seemed like it as far as the mid-game goes. Was there any particular reason why you guys were like pushing so aggressively? Because again, in my mind, when you have, a funnel strategy, you're playing more for late game, you can probably afford to chill out a little bit, which was not the case at about 25 minutes.
Yeah, I think because funnel is like, it's pretty new, at least for us. So, we had like, it wasn't perfect, or we don't know how to execute it perfectly right now. So like, I find this game very valuable to us. So later, like if we pull out the strategy again, we can realize, all right, guys, it's 25 minutes. We don't need to like hard into Baron or anything like that. So yeah, it'll be good next time, hopefully.
Speaking of the funnel strategy, what are your personal thoughts on it as the guy who's getting all that extra gold? Do you enjoy it, or do you kind of miss the more standard laning phase?
It is pretty stressful on the carry because, the game is pretty much all about them, and you're getting all the farm. Everything's about like this carry. Can you like carry the fights and stuff like that? So I don't like the strat because it's just, I don't know, it seems so boring. Like you're doing nothing in the game. You literally want to fall behind early game. Like you just like, all right, let the enemy team get like a 3K gold lead. It's totally fine. And then, yeah, personally, I don't really like it that much.
I guess thinking now kind of bigger picture and in the split as a whole for CLG Academy, you guys had a great end to spring this year. You had a great start to summer, but then really kind of had not a great day yesterday, if we're being honest. But of course, how does it feel now getting a win? The big week is over. You played a lot of games this week. Kind of how are you feeling and how's the team feeling now that this super week is over?
Yeah, yesterday was pretty tragic for us. I think we weren't that prepared in terms of what was going to be played and stuff like that. And it feels super good to not go 0-3 in a week. So we could have went from 4-0 to 4-3. So we're already just kind of like sigh of relief that we won that open Nexus game. So yeah, it feels pretty good.
All right. Well, thank you so much and congratulations on your win.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. We're headed for a break, but there's more Academy League coming right up when we return. 100 Thieves goes head-to-head with FlyQuest Academy.
Fallen Bandit might be pushed up a little far.
False confidence perhaps. Flash pull there. There's the spin coming out. Pollard going to knock him off, and the Donkarooni's incoming. Not even needed. Still going to start something. There's a Killer Instinct on top into the last breath, and Benji has no chance at all. Oh, gets destroyed, I think, but it's just a mess in the pit. Auto, though, still alive. Flashes out, but he gets dunked by Zig. Picked up the world's fastest pentakill. There's a double knockup. Auto going to charge him with a supercharger. Does get one kill, taunts it up, but Auto living through it all. I think that's an absolute disaster for Golden Guardians. Auto needs to get in there for a bit of damage. She tries to find the taunt, but doesn't grab it as Bombshin goes in, but that's Killer Instinct. Auto going to try and take down Pollock with force back into the fountain.